So, hi guys, I'm back with another movie talk, and I'm here with my friend KOJAY. How are you
Hey,
doing today, KOJAY?
I'm good. I'm excited and honored to be here.
Can you explain your channel to everyone really quickly?
Yeah, my channel, really quickly, is pretty much a variety channel. I have a podcast series where I talk about any topic that's on my mind: worldly, comic books, movies, opinions, life stories. I also have a series where you watch me draw in color. And you can draw along or color along with. I have video
Oh,
game gameplays, commentary with video game gameplays, and I'm branching off into other stuff like a vlog. So it's a bunch of different things, and I do a lot of cool stuff. And one of my favorite things is the watch parties I do, where you can watch a
yes.
series with us, and I provide links so you can watch along with us. I do Japanese superhero series, Tokusatsu, which is what Godzilla is part of, and that.
Ooh.
And Bat Channel is with me on that one, so like and
Mhm.
subscribe to them. And also, I do a series of movies, mostly South Korea, but we venture off in other things, which I'm very happy to have you been a part of, like
Oh, yes.
4 or 5 of them, which
Thank
has
you
been
so
amazing.
much,
Yeah, 5 of
yes,
them.
for introducing me to those movies. They're really cool, and I'm a big fan of a lot of things that are happening in South Korea,
Mm,
including the K-pop and all of the
yay.
cool stuff now. And I also wanted to mention that we really met through our love of Zack Snyder movies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the whole fiasco that was happening around it. And so I think we have a lot of the same fondness for a lot of movies. You're in the comment section a lot, talking about the movies, and definitely like a lot of the live feeds that I do. So I think there's a lot of shared DNA, I think.
Well, we're
Well,
close in generation, so
what
yeah,
are you generation
like 80s up. You know,
Generation X?
I think so. I forgot. I found a new term. It was like Xennial, which were
Oh, yes,
people used
Danielle,
to
yes.
the VHS to digital era,
Yeah,
Atari to video games. I was like, whoa.
yeah. I think it's awesome because, yes, you love a lot of the same movies I seem to enjoy.
Hmm.
And again, the movies that you've introduced me to are so good. And I think you know my type of movie, so we
Yep.
kind of can talk about those. Howard the Duck is one movie that we both have said that we loved. I will tell my story, but can you tell me your first impression of Howard the Duck and when you first saw it? Did you see it in the theaters, or how did that story go?
So I believe I saw it when I was 7 years old. Yeah, I believe it was around the time of 7 years old. I was at an uncle's house, and I discovered HBO for the first time. He's like, "Yeah, just watch
Ah,
whatever." And I was like, "What? You could see movies without commercials?"
yes, yes, that was a big thing.
So whatever was on that night, I was excited. I was like, "Okay, just watch." I don't even know if I had any popcorn or anything. I was just glued to TV, and I was transported. So the first 2 films I saw in there changed my life forever, as far as like my taste and or enhanced it, I should say.
Mhm.
First one was Howard the Duck.
Okay.
I had no introduction to it at all. As a 7-year-old, I was like, this is fantastic. The second one right after it was Enemy Mine. Now,
Ooh.
this could have been on HBO, or it was recorded on VHS from HBO, because we
Mhm.
did that with our VCRs a lot. So that would make sense why one movie played right after the other. But either way, it was from HBO, and
Oh,
it could have been on that VHS tape or whatever. But I
remember.
saw both those movies back to back for the first time, and uh, I loved it. I still love it to this day. I don't see any problems
Yeah.
with them. In fact, which we'll go into, which I'm really excited to do. So
Yes, yes.
it was great.
Um,
I was 7. I was just mesmerized. Both
is it
films too.
Enemy Mine is a movie I love, but it's like hard to watch a lot. We're gonna,
Yeah,
for the channel, we're gonna get into Enemy Mine. It's a good movie worth
I can't wait for that.
diving into.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of Star Trekian kind of ideas in there, and
Mm-hmm.
I do love that, like old school Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, but Howard the Duck, I actually saw that I was like maybe 16 or 15, going on 16,
Nice.
and I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun. I had no prior experience with Howard the Duck as well. And it was sort of like a silly movie. I had fun and I laughed my butt off. I all I did was just laugh like I was being tickled at every single thing that was in that movie. And later on we'd get a movie called Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
And I felt like it was in the same, like, neighborhood, you know?
Mm.
But one movie was loved by everyone and one was definitely, like, shunned, and I'm, like, trying to figure out why. And as I'm, like, rewatching, I was like, "Okay, I get it now." But I don't feel any less about the movie. I love it just the way it is because it is so wacky and has so many different ideas and almost like 5 or 6 movies put into one.
Mm-hmm. No, ooh, where to begin? Yeah, it was brilliant in the sense that it made its own tone that I think no one was prepared for,
Yeah, I think
because
so.
this is George Lucas. It was advertised as a George Lucas project,
Mhm, mhm.
and this is coming after Return of Jedi.
Yes,
So
yes.
people are probably, high on the Star Wars, hype that he brings to the table. So
Yeah.
look at Star Wars and Howard the Duck. They're two different types of after school or Saturday morning cartoon series,
Yes,
Like I
yes.
would feel this is like live action DuckTales
Mhm.
in its own kind of way, as opposed to like I guess Pirates of Dark Water or Justice League Unlimited,
Oh, yes.
two different kinds. Like, George Lucas does both. And I think that took people by surprise. So they didn't know
Yeah,
how to react it. So that's my theory. I hear different
yeah.
things, like, and then the insults, not liking it, that doesn't make sense to me. I just loved every bit of it. It was
Oh, yeah.
hilarious from beginning to end. Ah,
Yeah, it to
I
me,
had a
it's
great
just
time with it.
chuckles the whole way through, even when it gets really dark. Now,
Yeah, with a
um,
bit of hoorah.
right? So I'm gonna go through because you hit on something I wanted to really dive into a little bit. For of course being nerdy, I had to
That's
do
what
this.
we do.
And now, okay, so of course, Howard the Duck, before we were even, thinking about this, was created in 1973 and is actually
Yeah.
a Marvel character. And I was like, "What? Really?" I didn't really even know about that until, like, I would say, when we finally got to see him in later years, and I was
Oh,
like,
really?
"Really?" Yeah, like maybe about 10, 20 years ago. And so I
See, I
think,
like some comic books that when I go to comic book store, I don't just go for DC and Marvel. I like the independent ones because that's how I followed up with Conan the Barbarian, which used to be under Marvel, but other obscure comic books that weren't of the main thing. And I saw Howard the Duck comic books. I was like, what? Because they would have, and I saw it was part of Marvel then, so I did not know. And it is Marvel's first movie. Like DC
yes.
had.
Yeah, it's actually the first Marvel movie, which a lot of people were like, "What are you talking about?" There were other things before, but they weren't. They were like stuff from television, but
Hmm.
this is the first full feature film.
Right.
Do you have any experience reading the comics at all? Do you know much about the comics?
I got
Uh,
some out of curiosity. It didn't really drag me in. A lot of times I'm particular, or I don't have much invested interested in satire. Howard the
okay.
Duck, the comics I did read, he's very satire, comedic relief,
Yes.
um, borderline breaking fourth wall. I would say
Yes.
he's like a grandfather of what we would get later with Deadpool, as far as being
Mm.
not I guess anti-hero, because he's actually very outspoken. He's rude, he's a jerk, he's a skirt chaser, you know. He's like the dude you don't expect being a hero at all. yeah, we didn't really get that in the movie, and we can go into that when we get there.
Yeah, there's a
But
little sass, but
yeah.
not much. Yeah, one point I wanted to mention is that in the beginning, Howard the Duck really resembled Donald quite a bit, and so
Hmm.
Disney was like, "Oh, you got to make some changes to this character," and so they did by adding pants and a
Yes.
more humanoid type of figure to him, as you could see from some of these examples here,
I'm glad you
and
brought it up because even the head, they got the eyes smaller and the forehead bigger, like a dome.
mm,
Whereas, as you can see, he has the same like Donald and Daffy Duck like drawing design. You
yes,
see why that
yes.
would get Disney mad.
Yeah, they were not pleased.
There
But
we
yeah,
go.
this is more like what he is typically known to look like.
Hmm.
So a lot of people who read the comics, when they saw this movie, they were kind of shocked that he looked a lot differently. He was more stockier, and it just didn't like visually work for them. But we weren't talking about a large number of people who were, clamoring over this comic book, and definitely not
Hmm.
the masses they didn't have much to say, but definitely comic book nerds were like, "Nah, that's not it."
Yeah, that actually includes Tim Robbins because he was asked later when reflecting on it, did he regret anything about the movie or did he look at it fondly?
Mhm.
He had good things to say because it was his first big budget film, and since they went over production, they paid him twice for the role, which
Ooh.
got him to invest in the theater production and other things he was involved in. So he liked it, but he was a geek early on because he said early on, or he knew early on that they casted the wrong Duck
Yes.
because he was expecting the comic book one, who is like rude, choppy, and then what everything I explained earlier about
Mhm.
being kind of rugged, and he was
Mhm.
kind of niceified, so to speak,
Yes,
and he
yes.
wasn't expecting that, so that he knew that early on.
Well, okay, let's talk about uh
The man.
George Lucas. Now, there's a misconception that some of the wackiness and the craziness and the things that are perhaps the problem with this movie is George Lucas's fault. And
Hmm.
I think, which is just so crazy. I'm like, well, he was the producer, and he definitely put together a script in the very beginning about and wanted to make the movie. And I'm actually going to read some notes that I have here about that. But he was very much looking to make the movie an animated movie
Mm-hmm.
and not a live action, but there was a contractual obligation with Universal Pictures that stated it had to be live action. And I think that was probably, if you were going to say it was a mistake, that is probably where the biggest problem was, because you could have pulled off a lot more with animation. As you could see how cute this this guy looks. It would have been so perfectly done with animation, but also you can get away with the sort of interdimensional travel. You're dealing with the
Mm.
Marvel universe that's full of magic and wonder. You can play out in that space definitely. And I think that was the part that really hurt the film right away, was just that choice. But
Hmm.
in spite of that, I think, and the theory goes on that George Lucas has like a thing for ducks.
You think he has a thing for ducks?
Yes, he has a thing for ducks. Um, he has been very outspoken about his interest in like the space operas, like Flash Gordon from the 1930s,
Mm.
and a lot of those were televised to what would be his early years as a kid in the 50s on television.
Mm.
And what is also prevalent is that George was influenced by the comic books of Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge.
Mm.
Those were written and drawn by Carl and originally published in 1942. We have some connective tissue because a lot of the DuckTales and the Ducky
Yep.
adventures were had it inspired Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you can even see in the title how that is being emulated here. And
Mhm.
then we get this movie, same title, So we're seeing a connective tissue here that
Yep.
he really likes that title, and he really likes duck. It was really kind of interesting to discover that, but also he had been talking about Howard the Duck since 1973, or interested in that when he was shooting American Graffiti. So this has been a long way from 1973 to 1986 to get to
Ooh.
this point for him.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. It's a building process coming off of Return of the Jedi. Look how many animatronics and puppet creatures they made in that. So
Yeah, yeah.
you probably had
They
the gears going because at the time making it animated hand
mhm.
drawing for that time would be longer than the time they had to film it, even though they went over schedule.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's one of the factors too.
Which I feel like this is a bold step to make a film, a live action film about a duck. For
That's where I
MacLeod.
honestly want to give him credit because that's
Yes,
bold. That's
that is.
bold because usually this is something you would see animated, but to take something anime and make it live action, realistic, or in our world,
Mhm.
that's quite a task. And that's probably another thing that was difficult against this movie, not just changing the character, but doing something no one's doing or expected or asked for, It's bravery.
It is. It is. Just wanted to talk a little quickly about other filmmakers that are involved here. It was directed by Willard Hyuk, starring
I was saying Huck. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Hyuk. I was
Huck.
thinking that the
I thought it
Y
was
in
Huck.
there. It might be Huck. It might be Huck. It's like Huck or Yuck.
Let's go with Huck so we're not saying yuck. Or I don't know. Whatever you like.
Huck, Willard Huck, and it stars Leah Thompson, Jeffrey Jones, Tim
Mhm.
Robbins. It was produced by Gloria Katz and written by William Huck and Katz as well. So they were kind of teaming up on this. And Lucas is the executive producer of the film.
John Landis was about to direct it.
Yes,
But he couldn't.
tell us about that.
Well, George Lucas looks back at it as his greatest regret in his career that John Landis was unable to direct Howard the Duck.
I think Landis was
I think he
doing a
was busy with
movie.
other projects
Yeah,
at
he
the
was
time
doing
because he
another
did.
movie at the same time.
Yeah, because Landis was popping in the 80s. I mean, we got American Werewolf in London, which he's also producing a new one now. He was busy also doing Michael Jackson's music videos. He did Beat It, he even did Black or White later. And John Landis did do Oscar with Sylvester Stallone. That's one of my favorites of his films.
Mm.
So it just didn't fit his schedule. And the documentary Howard the Duck, Lucas feels like if John Landis did it, it would have been like successful.
I think it's because of the kind of jokes that he probably would have come. He's really good at like sculpting the right dialogue around the jokes. Like when I
That's
look at
fair.
this movie today, a lot of the jokes are very juvenile and silly and like lots of dad jokes, everything. They're like they came up with every like duck foul joke, like foul, they just went off on all of the silly jokes, which I love. I think they're really hilarious. That's why it's yuck yucks every time I watch this movie.
Yeah.
It really does kind of fill me with joy to watch it. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
silly.
Because I'm a
So
dad joke type of person. Like, what's faster, hot or cold?
I don't know.
Hot is faster because you can catch a cold.
Oh.
See, so yeah, if this load of dad jokes, I'm like looking back, I was like, I see why I get it. I like this charm early on.
Yes, yeah, it does. I think it does have a charm, and so I think we're ready to get into the story. Of course,
Ooh.
the awesome beginning where we get the credits and we see all of the little things that are on Duck World that are supposed to be kind of copies of our world or replicas, but done. It's in a different dimension.
Like the same things happen there, but with ducks over
Yes.
here.
And it's very much like now we've got the multiverse in the MCU, so it works now. If you
Yeah.
look at it, but it didn't quite work for a lot of people, but I loved it. I was like, this is a joke within itself, right?
Hmm.
And then we were talking about the font here that they're also using. It's sort of like, hey, see, look what we're doing. Uh, you know, we're using the same
There's no
font,
shame. There's no
yeah.
hiding it.
Yeah, so and we've got a couple more. We got this duck guy that's just sitting down after work. It's been a rough day. Instead of flash dance poster on the wall, he's got splash dance. There's like a little duck beer back there. All sorts of really cool things that are like our world, but it's all duck stuff.
I
And
love the effort of all that.
do too. It's really cute. It's all this is you have to think about this. This is an entire set that's made in a small perspective for this character. Inside the
Hmm.
suit is a person of a smaller stature.
They have the actor, and then two little men for as stunt people for him, and then for his facial expressions, they have four puppeteers.
Yes, they have a lot of things, and we're
A
going to
lot
get
going
into
on.
that at the end. We're going to put the production stuff back at the end, but this is pretty intense just to see this on screen. You look at this and you're like, they put a lot of work into this.
They did.
They really did. And imagine like a seamstress putting together all of these outfits. You can't just grab children's clothes for this. This has to be fitted perfectly because it is, a man in a suit. So I
Which,
do
by the
love that.
way, is this film or this thing kid friendly or nah?
Oh, so I'll let
Like with
everybody
Howard the
know.
Duck,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I
it
will
just
let
came to mind.
everybody know and let everybody know that we are going to dive into some things that are a little spicy. So
Explicit content, parental advisory.
yes,
I
yes.
think
So
that's it.
we're
Parental
not
guidance
gonna
is
go there.
advised.
Yeah, we're not gonna go too deep into, or too explicit, but there may be some talk that may be a little bit more for grown-ups coming up. Um,
Like the movie had in it, because
yes,
we'll get there.
but I really feel like there were at least 5 different movies in this. If you could split it up, it's just like
Mm.
5 different types of movies. One is a kiddie movie, that's gonna make the kids chuckle, and the next one is an Acme WB cartoon, like where boink,
Mm.
king, oh man,
Right?
yikesies, and
Quack.
then
Ooh.
there's with Gem and the Holograms.
I was getting that vibes a lot. I love that. That's probably
Yes.
another appeal.
And then also, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Hidden, but there was a scene or two that reminded me of The Hidden with the
Ooh.
creature going inside of a person and then coming out with some
Oh
really I
yeah.
don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's just a delicious low budget film. I do love that movie. Low budget B sci-fi horror movie. And then there is sort of an adult comedy in this, where it's
Mhm.
like, people smacking each other on the butt.
And where
You
he has
know,
to work at one point.
yeah, it's just crazy. And some inappropriate duck things, duck action. And we're just like, what is happening here in this movie? They just threw it all in, and it's great. It's just great. And here we go. Here's some of the grown up stuff here. Howard is sitting down, enjoying an evening after work, and he's watching television. He's looking at Play Duck, which is in case there's anyone out there who doesn't know about the magazine. Playboy magazine was an adult magazine for men. This is sort of the play on that, which is so cheeky, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, look,
a
they still have
visual
rabbit
joke.
themes.
Yeah.
So ducks have rabbits.
Oh yeah. At least in this world, right?
Yeah.
And then we get this flash, which I thought was very interesting, is sort of backstory to Howard. We see on the wall Howard and the Heartbreakers, and then we see this guitar on the wall as well. It's only a few seconds, but it's enough for us to get the idea that he used to be in a band. And this
Mm-hmm.
is he literally hung up his guitar. And
Yep.
it's like, oh, so we're getting that beautiful backstory visually that he used to be in a band. And so that is sort of a thread that they tie up kind of at the end, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's cute as can be.
It's
And then
great because it's a good little foreshadowing of like what he's passionate about, what he gave up on, found, and
yes,
then found again. So
yes,
they have little
absolutely.
tiny little heroic motifs in this film.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's what gets you kind of like, okay, he used to be in a band, he's got the talent, he's the perfect
Mm-hmm.
person to go on to do something musically. And then you get this moment where the chair starts vibrating and everything in the room starts vibrating, and he gets flung out of his apartment and through other apartments. And while he's being flung from other apartments, we get to see other duck people or
Mm-hmm.
on Duck World, and it's really cute because it's like, oh, we have all seen that, a couple sitting in bed reading, and then
Yeah.
this.
Oh, you censored it.
What?
This lady cracked me up because when he threw Smash Down, she's all having her thing. He smashed her, and then she continues like
Yes,
nothing.
she's like, yeah, whatever, we'll deal with that tomorrow.
Oh man,
Yeah, she's performing some self-care, having a bubble bath,
this is like
having a glass of wine, or maybe that's a
a
martini glass.
martini. Yeah,
And
no one's
she's
killing
just
her
washed
vibe.
her hair. Yeah, she's chilling out. And so yeah, that was kind of interesting because they created this scene specifically, and even in you can even see this scene in a few behind the scenes photos, that they were really proud of this moment. And I'm like, why is this lady naked? Because you could just put some bubbles up there, right about over her chest or whatever.
Yeah,
They
you
did
could have, but
that
they're like,
they didn't.
nah.
It was specifically for mature audiences here, and sort of like imagine taking your kid to see this movie.
Yeah, already in the beginning, you
Whoa!
are like, oh, I have so much to explain, not even knowing what's coming next. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think sometimes filmmakers, it's like an inside joke, like, what can we get away with? It's a PG film. I don't know.
Ooh,
So
yes, yes,
I don't know if it's
and it's a duck, so you don't really like, it's not human, so you're not outraged by it. But I
or
thought it
like
was
it's
a
a
very
puppet. Well,
yeah.
it's kind of like how Lord of the Rings isn't really rated R because it's not human on human violence. It's human against monsters like the orcs.
Oh,
So
okay. Is that
sometimes ratings and censorship is very specific on certain things. Like
okay?
some things you just cannot see or cannot do, and it's a big list. So it might have been like some geeky filmmaker, poetic justice, or rebellious punk thing to do something like this and be proud of it. Because I
It's
did not know they were so proud of it. I was
yeah,
like,
they
wow.
were really proud of it. I mean, they even put it in the behind the scenes pictures. Incredible. As he's flying off into space, we have some more little areas where you can see where they're playing on the duck jokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
Waters.
really cute. And so you get the flavor of what this is in a few moments. It is adult humor and also cheeky fun at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. But meanwhile, as he's settling down on Earth in a lab somewhere close by, maybe a few miles away, there's a scientist that finds a feather as they're doing an experiment. It's really interesting. We are going to find out more about that a little bit later. I just wanted to make that certain that there is
Mm.
a connection there. So Howard arrives on a couch in an alleyway somewhere,
I do have
and
to
this
say they did a lot of wire works for that for film where they rotoscoped or took out the wires from the shot, which was
okay.
technology that would later be used or grow into the same technology they used for Back to the Future Part 2, Terminator
Oh,
2, Judgment Day, and The Matrix. So this is one of the first movies doing where they took out wires for wire works. Well, before they shot it far away so you don't see the wire. This is
okay.
one of the first films where they took out the wires that
Oh,
technology developed later on to help other films we love.
okay. Yeah. So, and this is another reason why I love this conversation,
Oh yeah.
because we are like, even though this is, it's Howard the Duck, a lot of people didn't really like it that much. There's some people who really love it. It was done by a huge studio,
Mm-hmm.
ILM took care of the special effects, and it does have cultural significance. And
Very.
so thank you there for filling us in on that.
I'm
For the
cheering, waving the flag for Howard the Duck is awesome. Yeah. And that's me.
So like we have this, okay, close your eyes, little, kitty, like the
Whoa.
like this is much. But there's a montage as soon as he gets on planet Earth where he is snatched up and thrown into a bar, and they throw him out of the bar, and that Beverly is working there as a with her band, and they're singing all along. He's going through this adventure. He goes from place to place to place where he's being kicked around and thrown around, but he ends up in a canister here where he's like, you know what? I am just going to hang out in here until I figure out what to do next. And it's pretty sad
Yeah.
because he's a fish out of water, the typical story trope that we see a lot, but it's so enjoyable, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where
Oh, the
there's something,
transition.
yeah, it's just there's just something delightful about a fish out of water story. So he's like, okay, I'm just gonna hide out here. But after Beverly is done with her set, she ends up in an alleyway with these guys messing with her. I
These
mean,
guys are creepy. What's a dude
they're
doing with a bunch of doll heads as like garment? I'm like,
nightmares forever. Yeah, he was creepy, and they were. I don't know what they were gonna do to her, but it was just escalating out of control. It went
hmm
from teasing to like bullying and possibly more. They were gonna
yeah.
do something terrible to her.
Some abuse was looking really bad. We're like, where's RoboCop? Come on.
Yeah, and I hate to say this because today this would be really frowned upon. Beverly is definitely a damsel in distress.
hmm
He is kind of hearing her screaming, and he's like, "Oh man, I have to do this." But I have, he's a good soul. Howard is a good soul, and he finds the courage to face off with these guys, and he wipes the floor with them, actually.
Yeah, with the quack foo. It was no joke.
Yeah, so I mean, and all the while there's like, bling, 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 all these like
Yeah,
cute
the
little
cartoony
sounds.
Looney Tunes thing you were bringing up
Oh,
with the
it's
phone.
so funny and so delightful. And again, like if you are looking for something to put a smile on your face, this is definitely one of those movies.
hmm
Well, he saves her, but they connect for a few moments, but
hmm
um, she's like, okay, gotta go. There's something about Howard she's liking, but she feels sorry for him being out in the cold by himself. So what does she do? She invites him to her place to stay. Wow, that's definitely the 80s for you. Can't do that.
Which is kind of crazy because this is literally talking. This is the beginning of where it's kind of like the cartoon part kicks in, where like Superman in the 70s, like, oh, you're an alien. Oh, that's fascinating. Like, it doesn't phase him. Whereas real life now is like, oh, what is that?
Yeah, yeah,
And she's like so casual about it.
yeah.
Even later on, people on the bus. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it from a movie from 1986, it may be a little like cliche or even like this wouldn't happen in real life. But
hmm
if you kind of look at it from the world that of Earth where Marvel exists, and you have superheroes, and you've got X-Men, and you've got
Mhm.
Wakanda, and you've got Iron Man, and you could a strange
Yeah.
duck from another universe is not going to seem so odd or unusual. So
Mhm.
I think this movie is maybe out of time.
Eh, yeah, out of time, ahead of time, mm, all that because, being coexistent of the comics, you got the Hulk going around, he's a green monster, like people at this time are phased, but having this being the first movie of that type of world of superheroes and
Yes.
phenomenons, it's that's probably another thing that unintentionally hurt it, you know?
Yeah, I think it took people out of the movie
Yeah,
because
like if
there's
they
so much.
advertised like, this is part of Marvel or like if
Yeah,
you like the Hulk,
Spider-Man is right down the block, you know?
yeah, like or a couple cities over,
Yeah.
I think that would have helped a little bit.
Yeah,
Like if
just
they sprinkle a
something.
little bit of Marvel like lore around, like some news clip like, "Oh, Spider-Man saves New York,"
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
that
like
would have
that. That
been
could have been neat.
super. Oh, I would actually wouldn't mind if somebody just added that to the movie. Just throw that in there.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that would make sense why there, but not knowing that, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is
Wait a minute, what is
weird."
this? Yeah, it was like, you're okay with an alien duck from another world?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, she does take him in, and she's so cute there. And when he gets to her apartment, he notices that she's a musician, and he sees these piano keys. It's another tie into the musical aspect.
Which is
That
great.
Yeah, story
Because
building.
the music is great and the whole movie was so musically put together, so many musical elements. Her character is musically driven,
Yes.
and I don't know if you want to talk about behind the scenes of that later, we can. But I like the layers of appreciation for music in this movie with how much music was put in effect to make the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they have a 3-disc soundtrack for this thing.
I will just mention really gently, because I did write down something. The score was by John Barry and Sylvester Levay. There was a significant amount of time placed on trying to get Beverly and the band to sing their own material.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has great voices, but Leah Thompson was like bringing it in. She was
Yeah,
really, yeah, she was good.
she was apparently practicing and rehearsing music throughout the whole production. She said she was exhausted by the end of this.
Yeah, they were just actors. They weren't actual musicians. So it took a lot of time. And the person who worked with them is Thomas Morgan Robinson. And he's
Mm.
actually very famous for the song She Blinded Me with Science,
I remember
1982
that.
song, and another song called Hyperactive that was released in 1984. So he worked very closely with them to really try to get an authentic sound out of them, and I think he did a great job. I loved
Mm.
all the songs. I thought they were really good, and I really thought that Leah Thompson's voice really shined in it all, and
Oh, it
I
did.
really,
I liked
yeah,
every song from her group. Honestly, I was a
yeah,
fan of this group. Like you said, this was like Gem and the Holograms,
yeah, like
just without the
Gemini.
transformation.
Yeah, and so he is, just getting used to this world. I thought this was an interesting photo compared to him before in his apartment where everything was fitted to his size. Now everything is oversized, and he looks so small in that
Mhm.
scene. And it's all for all the human stuff, but it's a replica of his world.
Yeah, because
Um,
even the beer is on the same left hand corner he usually
right?
has it. It's just bigger.
Exactly, exactly. It's so crazy how these images just kind of, just explain like, okay, we really thought about these little details. And she's starting to like him a lot. She is offering her help to him. He's sleeping on her little ledge area, duvet, whatever, that little
Yeah, I don't know what
couchy,
that's
like
called.
window bed, which is really
Yeah,
cute.
it's that little thing where you can it's the ending of Saturday Night Fever where they're next to that window thing where you can sit there.
Yeah, and a
But
couple pictures down you I'll show you. But she's starting to really like him and get to know about his story. He falls asleep, and then she goes through his wallet and sees
all
all
right,
the
how many
stuff.
women go through guys' wallets when they fall asleep? Is this a thing? This got me
I
paranoid as
don't
a kid.
do
I
that.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, growing up and hiding my wallet. I was like, wait, I'm asleep. Someone's gonna go through my wallet. I had a little play wallet, so I was like all paranoid because of this movie.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I particularly don't think it's a nice thing to go through anybody's wallet without
Yeah,
them
that's
saying that they
rude.
need to, or they are incapacitated and to the point where they need me to like get something from it, or I
Some
need
people will go
to,
through people's stuff though. I'm traumatized.
yeah, like that.
I think
Yeah,
I've heard it a few times in the past.
yeah, it's kind of creepy, but it's definitely spy material stuff. But she's going through, and I think she's trying to find out who he is because she just thinks it's weird.
Mm,
This is an alien from another world, according to him. So this is definitely the proof she needs to know that somebody went through the trouble of putting all of this together.
mm.
I thought it was used in a very cool storytelling way, but I would in real life please everyone, don't go through other people's wallet unless it's to
Help
identify
identify someone.
somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, that's dropped their wallet or something. Don't go through
Hmm.
people's things because she finds a little something. She finds first the money that, and so this is all cute. she
How hard was that to do? I love it.
and,
Oh no, my life.
and then she finds this.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
You know, as a kid, I had no idea what that was. I was like,
so
why does he have a
crazy.
balloon there?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that's why this is not for kids. It is like, what? And she goes, "Oh, Howard."
Howard.
So yeah, I mean, she's
Oh
found
man.
herself a cute little friend that, and I think she's falling for him and she vows to try to help him. So the next day, and by the way, I've always loved this visual. So
I was
beautiful.
about to say they have nice visuals, even with the shot they showed before where she's sitting down with the. I mean, maybe it's cliche. I don't know, but I'm a sucker for it. I like the rain
The
outside,
window,
the effort
yes.
of putting the raindrops and the water falling down on the other side, and it's lit differently outside than the inside. It just gives you a sense that all right, this is a warm space. The outside is
Yes.
very cold and wet and horrible. Here is like you're safe here. It's cool. There's a lot of pink,
Yes, I
but you're safe.
love
It's
that.
warm. I like
Yes.
it, and I love the brick wall. I just love brick. It's a
Yeah,
great
and it
texture, and I
fortifies
don't know. I
that
love it.
safety, right? Fortifies that
Oh
safety.
yeah, yeah. With the archway, it's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, so beautiful. So he's nice and safe with her. The next day, she takes him to a museum where she has a friend who works there that she's hoping can help.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's just the janitor,
But he's
but
an
he's
aspiring science guy, or this is a big
yeah,
leap.
he really has his heart is in the right direction to an aptitude for it too. He has an aptitude for it. So I guess that to start off, they're just having him do physical, I don't think his job was necessarily the janitor, but he was there to clean up after their messes and
Hmm.
knows scientific details so that way he doesn't destroy or mess up what they're working on. So he's in the paleontology section. She brings him to this guy. His name is Phil, and he's played by Tim Robbins. All of the funniest lines probably come from him. I mean, at one point, he
Yeah,
starts
he's
talking duck. He's like,
yeah, he tried everything. I mean, if anything, he's the sidekick to Howard
oh
that
yes, oh yes,
inadvertently he gets.
yes.
At
And
first he was annoying. I didn't even like him. I was like, oh
you
come on, man.
didn't? Oh my goodness! I thought he
He grew
was.
on me later though.
He's overly has these ideas of becoming a famous scientist. So when he sees Howard, he's not necessarily thinking entirely noble. he's also thinking about, I'm the one who discovered him, you know, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. So he could become a famous, you know, discoverer of
He even mentions it later where each famous person was known for something, and he's like, mine was a duck.
and so yeah, he does, but he is for sure a character that seems to have, once he discovers Howard, or that Howard exists, he never gives up trying to figure out what to do next. And I think that was really commendable. And also the fact that he didn't just say, well, okay, we'll figure out things yourself. He's there with them until the very end of the movie,
Yeah.
even when it was clear, you know, he's just going to be the sidekick, if you, as you say, in the story. But yeah, he's just full of antics, jokes, silly expressions, and it's fun to watch him sometimes. It's like, what is he gonna do now? And this is Tim Robbins. Is he Oscar winner? He is
Yeah, he is.
definitely one of those actors that, much like, if you're thinking about serious acting and you have a part that you want to fill, Tim Robbins would be on the list, right?
Hmm.
I'm surprised. This was his first movie, right?
Yep, this is his breakthrough role, which is very important for every actor because you want to get into business because this gave him other jobs too.
Yeah, and so that's the part that was really interesting, was that a movie like this, and a part like the one he's playing, could have killed anyone else's career. Somehow his part impressed people enough that they were hiring him for a lot of gigs afterwards, which I thought
Hmm.
was very, I was like,
No, no,
how is that possible?
I love that because every performer, no matter if the film is good or bad, have a chance to show their work.
Hmm.
If actors or whatever really need a direction, you can tell which ones need to be pulled in the strings of their performance. But he brought so much life and range that you
Yes.
got to see all his emotions in one
Yes.
piece, so he can make a probably a good solid reel off of one movie. And the fact that he made money and he produced a play, he's showing he's passionate about how he's passionate about the craft. Because even Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, um, before The Crow, he had one action movie, Rapid Fire, that was decent, and one Hong Kong movie, I think Legacy of Rage, that was decent, but some before him were not that great. But his performance was always exceptional and
Hmm.
consistent. So that's something that actors need to always, portray in no matter what roles they get. And that's
Yes.
the professionalism, and that's the skill, that's the craft. So this is a brilliant actor early on, and I guess people didn't know it unless you were really knew what you're looking for as far
Yeah.
as talent and all that. So he's magnificent. He is, because
That is
I
really.
loved him. Like at first as a kid, I didn't like him. I was like, get away from Howard. What are you doing? You're a pest. You're not going to help him. You're just going to take him for your own. But then he really became a friend of Howard, and it was great to see that relationship grow.
Mhm. Yeah, I did love that he became sort of a best friend in a really cool way. And yeah, just great. I like really love his character as Phil. And he explained sort of the, you know, hey, and this, in our universe, you know, monkeys became men, and then in their universe, ducks became, you know, Howard. And it's
Yeah.
really, really cute to see that kind of stuff. These are the cute moments, that I really love about this movie, that make it tickles you a little bit. You laugh at
Hmm.
it. It's like, oh, how ridiculous. But according to you know, this kind of idea, there are thousands of different worlds with different animals that have changed, or maybe even different people who
Hmm.
have changed through evolution. And it is, you know, very exciting, sort of lore that's kind of built on it. Not so much that, you know, you're like, okay, I can't wait to see the next movie about you know, the next animal, but it gives you the idea, oh, so there must be thousands of worlds like this.
Hmm.
And so it's a cool idea. I always love that moment.
Yeah,
Well,
because then essentially this is the first multiverse film because
yes.
it entertains that early on in the 80s, and we just finally getting around to it now because it's more marketable or they ran out
Well,
of
let's
ideas
just
now, but
say
it
that
was
it's
started
not
with
even
fireworks.
accepted now. I mean, it's really even with the MCU is it's not hitting all cylinders with everybody. They're like, okay, where are we now? There's still some people with some
Yeah,
confusion or displeasure about it,
I think it was
but
like too much all at once.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But it is a cool concept,
Very.
and hopefully there's more to that that's like more fun. And so Howard is like, okay, I'm out of here. They're like, Phil's cover is blown because somebody's
Mhm.
like, oh, clean up this mess in aisle 2 or whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm talking to a janitor. No, I'm out of here. And he is pissed. And so even breaks up with Beverly, which is like really shocking. It doesn't win any points for doing that because it's like she gave him an opportunity, a chance, and
Mhm.
she's spent her day off to help him out, and he is just unhappy, which is also understandable, but it's also like thanks for nothing. So
Yeah, I mean, to him, all this is traumatizing. He's in a place like his world, but everything's a little bit bigger. And instead of his duck people, it's these big, like, hairless apes or whatever he called us, who are like in charge now. So, in a way, he's like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes,
the
but
Planet
a
of the
little
Apes,
switched up.
yes. Ooh,
So,
I love that
he's freaking out. He's not
comparison.
liking any of this,
Yeah, yeah. And even though I rather that he handled it a different way and be
Oh,
more
yeah, yeah.
respectful. He is in a he can identify with what he's going through, definitely. We get this crazy montage of him trying to mix in and blend with society. He goes to get a job. This is what he wears because he can't find like clothes that are normal. So he's wearing like a toddler's jumper. It's super hilarious.
This is the comedy section of this world. This is where it's all really. The satire I thought was brilliant, and he's like,
I
"Is it
like
my
it.
bad? I had to shop at the little tykes section."
Yeah, this is all funny stuff. It's yucks, and this lady is like, and I think if Landis was making this movie, there were, I when I see like this scene here, it's like so like something he would do in his comedy. So this scene might
He
have
could do a
made,
lot with it, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
these
yeah.
scenarios.
But this lady is what do they call those people that find you jobs?
Oh,
A recruiter, right?
there you go. Hmm.
Yeah, she's a recruiter trying to help call Donald.
Is it?
She's a recruiter trying to help Howard find a job. And she's like, you can dress up like a freak if you want to. I'm going to find you a job. So she thinks that he's trying to live off the system by not, looking normal. And so
Hmm.
she's determined to find him a job. And she does. And it's at a hot tub place,
It's like
making
one of those
out.
escape
And
or private love hotels
yes, it's
where you
almost
get.
like, yeah, if you condense, the movie Porky's down to like 15 minutes. It's just people, couple after couple after couple making out. And I'm like, this is not for kids. Again,
Yeah,
again, again.
this
This
is
is
a.
not for kids.
Oh man, 7-year-old me probably should not have been watching this. It was like, wait, what is going on? Why are they
So
all bad at wrestling? I was like, what's happening here?
oh man, yeah. So that was it. I think this was another sort of smack in the face if you were like, oh, this is for kids. No, it's not.
Hmm.
This is definitely not. He quit that job, and
Hmm.
he's out on the street, sort of like moping around. You have like a montage of him kind of finding his way back to that
Mhm.
bar where
This is a cool
Beverly.
theme, though. Like the bar with the just the fence, and then the band is there. I don't know. There's something really cool metal about this. Like some music videos in the '80s, I would say like this looks cool.
Well, they used to do that a lot in the 70s more. I mean, if you watched the Blues
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, it was
Mm-hmm.
featured, and
Another
that's
John
when,
Landis movie.
yes, and that's when they're just throwing bottles of beer and all sorts of stuff at you from the crowd because that's how it is. Um,
Yeah, if they don't like you, they let you know. So this
yeah,
protects them.
and which is really interesting because the cherry bombs they don't ever get that. It's never gotten violent for them. So he comes in and they're playing a nice song, a slow song, which I love. I can't remember the name of
Oh
the
yeah, this
song.
song was so good.
I thought it was really good. But he comes in and he if something goes off in his mind about the the band and they're playing and the music
Don't turn
and
away. I
it's
think that's the name of the song because they have Hunger
oh,
City. I'm on my way. Don't come cheap.
it's so good. It's like it has such a wonderful melody, and he finally gets it. It's like, oh, it's been right in front of you this whole time, and you have been ignoring it, even though he's only been around for only maybe we'll say about 2 days or something. So he overhears the manager of the Cherry Bombs uh, talking to the owner of the place, saying, "Hey, we're here's your money, and make sure the girls get it this time." And the manager is like, "No, I'm not going to give it to them until Beverly, becomes my girlfriend." That's a nice way of saying it.
Mm.
And I'm like, "Oh
uh,
my God, this is so bad."
uh.
He's so gross. And so obviously, Howard has to step in and save Beverly again. And it
Mm-hmm.
is one of those moments where it's the hijinks, slapstick humor, and it's funny. It's cute. What else can you say until you get to the point where he's like got the upper hand and it says, hey, give me the money that you owe the girls, and I'm their new manager. And
Mm-hmm.
he gets everybody in the club to be a witness to that. So it's binding, and I really kind of like that he was like, he actually made a difference in that
Mm-hmm.
terrible situation where Beverly was feeling really stuck at her music career. She's one of those people who went all in on her career as a singer, right? You see some people like on the weekends they're singing and then they have other jobs, but she is all in. And of course her manager is using her and the girls in the band and is hoping to form a an abusive relationship with her as well. So it's just kind
Ugh.
of disgusting and
It
gross.
is.
And so he saved her in a big way.
Yeah, because then again, this is the second time people are taking advantage of Beverly. Also, he needs another job, so maybe instinctively he got himself a new job, but also to save
Yes.
her. So
Yeah.
it was a double win. But definitely, his drawing to go to his first friend Beverly to that song "Don't Turn Away" was like she's talking to him deep down inside. He resonated with that, and then he
Yes.
committed to it by sticking up for her here, which I
Yes.
thought was great. I was like,
Yeah.
"Dang, he got him through the earring."
I kind of wish now this is where I feel like the movie is playing into sort of a intergalactic interspecies romantic comedy. That's what
Yeah,
we would call it at this point, right?
yeah, because in the comics he has a human girlfriend,
Yes.
and I think that's
Well,
one of the things they keep from the comics.
yeah. And we're going to get into more of that interspecies relationship, but he goes back there to the dressing room and he introduces himself to the girls who are all like freaked out. They're like, what the heck is this?
No, they were great. I mean,
Well, they warmed up to him really quickly, right?
mhm. They just totally look like a perfect like pre-Spice Girls, like Gem and Holograms like casting. Really, this is great.
Yeah, I loved the fact that there's a big emphasis on diversity, and we got like girl
Mhm.
brand, they're doing it without any prompts at all. Holly Robinson is in there. She's in the center there, and
Yeah,
she was getting big at the time, right? 21 Jump Street.
yeah, I think so. I
So,
wish they were a real band. They were just
oh
like kind of
yes,
new and green as a band, but I like the idea so much.
yeah, they were cute, and Howard makes up with
Hmm.
her, apologizes, and doesn't announce right away that he's now their manager or that he got their money, but he slowly like is there and presents the apology first, which I loved. I mean,
Yes.
imagine him just coming in like, "Hey, girls, I got your money," and it all is based on the superficial thing. He goes
Hmm.
there first with his heart,
Yeah,
and
and
then
that's commendable. That's where I see he's really a hero. He's got his morality straight because you don't want to go in with a prize to kind of entice someone to fix something like you're
yes,
buying them.
yes,
Uh it's more important to take care of matters of the heart first, where there's like no strings to type of lean someone another way, because then that's meaningful. That's where healing is. If you
yes.
go in the opposite way, there you leave things undone to kind of, it's just not healthy growing going forward. So he really really cares for her, and he's a really good guy to go there first,
Yeah,
because
he did
then
it the right
once you
way.
sell that, you
Yeah,
could give the good news later.
yeah, yeah, he totally did it the right way.
I agree. That was
Yes,
nice. Because
yeah,
if it didn't work out, he's like, well, at least you do have this, and
yes,
goodbye.
yeah. It would have been a little creepy if he did it the other way. Uh,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, it doesn't feel good, and so
It's like the new manager is a new old manager.
so we have Phil into the room. He is still, with his antics, and he's still trying to figure out what's going on. He's got some wild theories. He represents sort of the hope of finding out what happened, a possible chance at getting home for Howard. So even though he's annoying to them right at this point
Hmm.
in the story, at least he cares. Even if it's not the way they maybe probably would have wanted him to care, at least he wants to care to find out the answers. And so that's part of that.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is probably when I think he made the call to the big science guys
yes,
about his discovery, and I don't think they've reached him yet. I'm probably going to meet him in person.
yeah,
So
there.
that's why he's teasing us something, and he just needs a proof.
Yes, yes. So this is just before he's going to meet them. Howard and Beverly go to her place, and it's so cute because he finds the piano and the beatbox, and he's making music, and it's
Mhm.
a tease at the last song in the movie. Um, and he's like, dancing, and she's like, "Oh, he's so cute." She's really falling for him.
Mhm.
Uh, and and then, oh, they get a little close.
I was like,
Uh,
"What? Oh, dang! What's going on here?"
it's intense, guys. It's really, really intense.
I'm not gonna
And
lie. I started having a crush on her too.
well, I mean, I think with Back to the Future, she played such a great role,
Mhm.
and I think everybody kind of had a crush on her because she was sort of the girl next door, but really gorgeous, and it seemed to be like, everything she was in seemed to have like, she brought something, a special spark to it. I don't know. There was something very, very unique about Leah Thompson in the 80s, and she's still doing a lot of like television movies and things like that. So, I saw a couple of movies that she did that I really loved, that were just like they were low budget movies that were on like Lifetime channel or whatever, but I was like, "Oh my god, Leah Thompson." And she looks like so the same. She's so
I
cute.
mean,
She's
what was
so
her
cute.
sitcom? She a leading role in a sitcom in the
Oh
90s, I think.
yeah,
I
I
forgot.
remember I don't remember the name
I
though.
just remember she had a job in Cats. Yes, she had the leading role in Caroline in the City. Oh, see, I knew a city was involved. I don't know where the cats came from.
Yeah, there's just something
She's
about
busy.
her in the 90s in particular. I'm sorry, in the 80s in particular. That was just
Mm,
people were, and she was in all the Back to the Future movies,
mm-hmm.
and they were all like every single one. She's amazing in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was she in 3 as well? Yes, she was. How can I
Yeah,
forget?
yeah,
She was definitely in 3. And she was fantastic. She was fantastic. So yeah, these guys are getting really close. They're
Uh-oh.
about to do some really intimate stuff, and
His feathers went up.
they get yes, and they get interrupted by these guys.
They're all
So
judging and like, what?
what the
They're
heck?
like, is this
How could you?
bestiality? What is this? Is this legal?
And these are the 2 scientists that were in the lab working on a project while Howard was being dragged across the universe
Mm-hmm.
and pulled on planet Earth. He actually found these guys, and so Jennings proceeds to show them a video and tell them about what happened the night of September 8th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, September 8th, and that's the day that Howard came to planet Earth. And let me see if I can get the exact wording down because it's very fascinating. He explains that they were testing the laser spectroscope to measure gases around Alpha Centauri. Then there was a deviation and they lost control of the laser spectrum. Some unknown force redirected the laser to hit Howard's planet. And that was his explanation for what happened that night. So some unknown force, and we believe it might be some other, other force. We're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
Change the outcome. Instead of them analyzing the gas, it hit his planet and hit Howard's bedroom or living room and pulled him out into outer space and across the universe, which
I had a
is
little geeky theory about that
ooh,
because
ooh, ooh,
my geeky
ooh,
theory is that since his world, Duck World, resembles Earth specifically,
mm,
with all the movies, all the lore, all the technology, all the era. My theory is that his couch in Duck World was the Duck World version of the couch in the alley he landed on. So I
mm.
had to take him from one place that was mirrored in Earth. That's why he came to the alley, because that couch was the Earth version of the couch he had. That was my
Okay,
theory of how
I'll buy that.
they
That's
came together.
why, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
why I
I was
took those pictures
I,
of that because I thought it was very interesting that he from couch to couch
yeah,
basically.
yeah. That was my theory, because I watch this too much and I start
Yes,
thinking,
yes. That was
or
my
I
line
start
of thinking as
co-writing.
well. That was my line of thinking as well. And the force, the unknown force, well, we'll learn what that might have been a little
Mhm.
bit later. But there's a video and they're showing them the pretty much the chaos that occurred that night, and it is truly like one of those moments in the film where things are going to shift into another.
Mhm.
We're going into another movie, guys.
Yes,
That
and
movie that you saw earlier. It's like, nah, we're fish out of water, all that stuff gone. We're into a
mhm.
new territory, and it's just so much fun. So if you were the kind of person the first part is just too weird for you, try just starting off in the middle of this movie when this happens and see if
Mhm.
that works for you because the last part is really quite a fun and interesting part. I love it when it gets to this part. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
because
I have a
my
theory that
my
this
science fiction like nerdy stuff is going like, ooh!
Yes, I love it when it goes to the next level with this because I feel this
Yes.
movie resembles a lot of this movie before
Oh,
Man of Steel. But
Man
I'll
of
save that
Steel.
for the end when we talk more.
Okay. All right. Please do bring that up.
Oh, I won't
So
forget it. I love it.
he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be. You guys can possibly get me to go home." And Jenny says, "Okay, maybe if we reverse, this and all these
I mean, they
scientific
would have the
terms."
coordinates in theory. There's a lot of theories in the space world that make it happen.
So they're like, okay, yeah, we can possibly go there. Let me go there, go back to the lab first, set things up, and you guys come in afterwards, and we'll convene and proceed forward. Of course, there's a little realization like, hey, we're gonna separate. We're just starting this relationship, and so Beverly says a really sweet goodbye to
It
him,
was a sweet
and
goodbye, you
I
know?
thought it was sweet, yes, and
Even
also
flirted a bit, you know?
I thought it was really cute, and she also packed him a little bag with Polaroids and stuff, remind him of Earth and things like that, and I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the emotional part, if they had, I think if they had stayed away from making this physical at all, with the let's kiss and let's get in the bed and let's do something like if they would just have kept it on like uh a beautiful like two souls meeting each other and just kept it on that level, like, oh, I'm gonna miss you when you're gone. We just finally got back together to and made up, and you've done so much for us, that kind of like heart to heart thing. I think it could have sit a little bit better with people who weren't ready for the bestiality thing. They were like,
Yeah,
"I'm
'cause
not
that's
ready
a
for
hard
that."
sell. Because
Yeah,
even
especially live
so, it's
action.
like yeah, because even so, it's like, what, been 3 days? It's like, you guys move fast in 3
Yeah,
days.
I
But,
know.
I think it would've been cool to cut the hanky-panky out. I mean,
Yes.
comic relief is kinda there,
Yeah.
but then again, this might have been, again, the people praising the topless duck in the bath, it could be part of more of that type of excitement that I guess that was all their own. I agree
Yeah.
with you totally there. I think if it was more like a soul thing or whatever, that'd been nice.
Yeah,
Um,
and you get the feeling in this scene, like, this is
this is the
heartfelt.
relationship.
Yeah, that's heartfelt, and,
Mhm,
and I think it stems first of all for her from her just first of all thinking that he is super, super cute. Like, she thinks that
mhm.
he is adorable, and so, and, if you I don't know if you remember before, she has a purse that's a duck, and there's, like, some other ducky things in her place, but she might actually have a thing for ducks.
Yeah, you
Wait
saw
a
that?
minute,
Because
wait
he
a
looked at
minute,
it, he's like, "What?"
is this?
So, yeah, who knows? Maybe it's like,
And that would
"Huh,
have been, I think, if they had developed that a little bit more, like to the point where, like, I've always loved ducks, like,
huh."
and to
I
kind
I
of get
never
you
really
to,
analyzed that whole thing as you have pictured up. Like my one of my favorite pets I've ever had was a lizard. If I had or cats, if like a lizard woman or cat woman comes up, I'd be like, maybe I like her a little bit more. Like, what animal did you like growing up or like of all? You have a favorite?
uh, puppies, kitty cat.
So so an actual dog man comes up, you'd be like, hey,
I'll be
less
like, ruff,
scared.
ruff.
Oh, so yeah, maybe I don't know.
Oh, I
But
always
no,
had a
no
thing for,
bestiality.
I always had a thing for like werewolves, so don't get me started.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's that Ninja
Oh,
Turtle,
yeah.
April O'Neil type of relationship thing. It's like, what's going on here?
Oh,
You
yes,
know,
yes. I like that because
where they're humanoid
there's already like an association like psychologically with the character that's already
that she has.
yeah, like
Hmm. A soft
pre-coded.
spot.
Yeah. And so that's another way to enrich a character like this if anyone was thinking about writing something like this in the
Because if she
future.
hated ducks, he would have been like, they
Disgusted,
didn't have
yeah.
it back then, but pepper sprayed earlier on, and we wouldn't get this far if she hated
Yes,
ducks. I had a duck phobia.
exactly, exactly.
Because some
Um,
people hate birds, so like, ah,
yes, or the smell of them or the look of them. But we get to let me see if I can
Dynatechnics. There it is.
Dynatechnics. This place is like incredible. Look at this. It's like straight out of a
And
sci-fi movie, right?
it looks like a legit building with a little miniature Star Wars George Lucas style thing on
Yes.
top.
Yes.
That is nice. I love
Yeah.
seeing miniatures
And
being used.
I do love this. This was one of the moments in the story where I was like, okay, we have definitely gone to the more darker science fiction part of the story, and I'm here for
Yes.
it. They take Howard and Beverly to this science facility, and as soon as they get there, it's in pandemonium. Something went wrong.
This guy
Something
was great.
happened. It's like we shouldn't have
Like,
messed with the universal laws or something.
yeah, like he knew something and he had a bad feeling and he got burned. And even at the end, he was like, oh, oh
Well, I
man.
have a theory about this guy
Oh, what's
because
that?
what if another um, Dark Lord went into this guy as well?
Oh, I see. No, I think
Well,
my
and the story says that it's only Jennings, but
yeah, but my theory is that what if before to get the Jennings, he went through others for a little bit, like a piggyback until he found the right one.
oh, that could be one. That could be one. But
That was one I was thinking.
I was thinking there were instead of just one, that there were multiple ones
Oh,
that
like
came
maybe
through.
one was coming in but
Yeah,
couldn't
that
and
was
got pulled back away.
no,
Like he
no, no.
only got half.
Like a whole bunch of them came in at
Oh, that
first.
they're dormant or something?
Yeah, because it takes
Oh,
a
that's some
while
of your
before,
alienoid mind then.
come on, I love it.
No, like an alienoid, they put them
Yes,
inside. The
yes.
same thing happened here.
Uh,
Oh.
and kind of reminds me too of The Hidden a little bit because that's
Mm.
another story where it's hidden in you, but he's acting as normal as possible here. If you can imagine. And then later on, he's like, oh, he starts to change like Jennings. So I always had that theory,
Ah.
like, oh, what if the other people in that facility, because there was a lot of them,
Mhm.
got hit with a monster, and
Ooh.
Jennings was the one that came. It was in the perfect body because he's
Mm.
the one to have all the codes and the key card and all that stuff, or perhaps even the leader. This is the machine that brought Howard to Earth, and so
The
um,
design of it. It
it's
reminds
so
me of like
cool.
Luke on the thing. It's like after he got his hand cut off, he's like, no, it's not true. That's impossible. I see like Luke right there saying that.
Yeah, it's a great design, and they
Mhm.
really put a lot of work into it. I think they had miniatures of this, if I'm not certain.
Oh
Don't.
yeah.
It's just gorgeous. So when you see the whole thing, yeah, the cops are there, and they get their hands on Howard. Unfortunately, they don't know what he is, and so they're like, "Okay, let's strip.
Cops
Make
always
let's."
last in making bad calls in these things. You ever
It's just
notice that?
crazy, and so they strip him of all his
They're
clothes.
like, oh, there's no zipper.
Sir, there isn't a zipper on the back. Like, he's yeah, that's because he's really a duck. He's been telling you. And I think one of the most startling things in the movie is him without any clothes on, because we didn't imagine he would look like that without any. He's like really super skinny. And I was like, well, why didn't you put the clothes on him really skinny too? This really seems odd. They escape the cops, which is a huge, like, Acme adventure,
Mhm.
Warner Brothers,
Very
like,
Scooby Doo running
yeah, like
away and hiding.
like it's just like really
Where'd he go? That
goofy.
way. Okay. Hop, 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 hop.
And so yeah, it's just really silly. And then they finally escape, but there's people are like looking for them. They're armed and they're dangerous and kill 'em. It's just really
Me?
and then they bump into this guy, Jennings, again. And Jennings
Yes. This is where the
is
fun really begins
I
and kicks
know,
off.
I
He's so
know.
good at this role.
Oh, I love it. And I couldn't believe it. I heard somebody say they didn't like the voice that the actor used for this, which I
What?
was like, that's the
Like,
whole
what were they
fun of this. Is
expecting?
like Jennings that's not here anymore. Like,
Something else. It's like I loved it. I thought it for me. I
me
thought it was
too.
creepy, and it was so different from whatever I think if you could do a voice, whatever it sounds like, and it's the most you could use emotionally in different emotional ranges,
Mhm.
go for it
I think
because
so
it's
too.
alien.
Yeah.
You kind of have free range.
Well, I think also too we know like Jennings regular as a his regular voice, and he at
Hmm.
this point in the story, he is like having moments where he's like, oh, where he's like, and he's still Jennings at this point, but he's
Hmm.
also like feeling intense pain, and he's got headaches, like something is tearing him apart from the inside. And so we're just getting a taste that something is
Hmm.
wrong with Jennings, right?
Yeah.
Because we
I.
can obviously he got hit with a blast, and so it's like, okay, so he got a little burn, face burn from the mask, from
Mhm.
the blast, and now there's something else going on. He's got headaches, whatever. We're gonna keep our eye on Jennings, but it's not a telltale. Like we don't quite know what's happening just yet. All of the details to it.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of like an onion opening up, slow transformation. No, well, not that slow, but it's a transformation no less.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it is.
he is, he has a car in the back, and so they all get in that car. And during the time of him being in the car, he becomes this. Well, first of all, his driving is atrocious. It looks like causes
Yeah,
like
he's got
so
2
many.
different things going
That's
on in
another.
him.
Yeah, I mean, that's another like 5 minutes of like hijinks on the road. It's just crazy. And then he is slowly becoming the monster until he finally is the monster. And he's like, Jennings is not here anymore. And, I am something else.
I
And
am
it's like
something
really like
else.
it's like,
And
oh my god.
I guess I liked his voice and the whole transformation because it's like, who is this guy now?
Yeah,
And his
yeah.
voice reminded me of like another type of Skeletor because
Oh,
Skeletor was really high pitch and kind of
yeah.
deal.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it was great.
I
And
love that. It was so
that
good.
whole diner scene, yes.
Oh, this
I
okay,
love
this
this diner
girl,
scene.
she's a queen. I love this waitress, the way she handled everything. She was just like, "Okay, well." Uh,
Is it now? Did you ever find out if this is a real diner or they just made it up? Because it's like a
I don't
Denny's mixed
know.
with like some hibachi Japanese steakhouse thing going on. Like that's an interesting mix.
Concept, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I think that's
never
kind of
heard
neat.
of it. I thought it was just something that they made up for the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
but
Because I
I
was
would
like,
love
that
to
is
know.
fantastic. What an
If
idea.
if anybody in the comments know if this is a real place or there is a place similar to that, let us know.
Yeah,
We'd
yeah.
love to know. But Jennings is now in full weird zone. Okay,
Hmm.
he says that now he's the Dark Lord. I was like,
He's sweated so
yes.
much, his hair is now sleeked back and everything. His hair is going to change from this moment
Yes, a
on.
lot. And he's just like, there's a whole bunch of us. We're demons from another world beyond,
The
all the
dark
planets.
overlords of the universe.
Ah, so wild. And they're planning on coming to Earth to completely destroy it.
And I like
And
how Howard's like, this is crazy, but then Howard doesn't realize how crazy this wole movie is. I just think
I'm like,
that's great.
You should not be denying this right now
Right.
because how did you get here? So he's, yeah, there's a lot of denial going on till Jennings starts to, or at this point, he's the Dark Overlord, starts to blow up the ketchup and the mustard.
Mhm.
And he like starts to make things glow and has electricity running through him. So they're like, okay, it's something's wrong here. Maybe it's time to go or something.
And I
So
gotta say, some of the comedy in this was randomly placed, but hilarious. I was in both like, what's going on? Oh no, danger! But at the same time, it was funny. Like, uh, when when she took the food bag, she's like, she took my eggs. I don't know, it just killed me.
yeah, where did that come from?
I know, like, oh, the Overlord was actually hoping to have a taste of the eggs. Oh crap!
Yeah, wanted those eggs, and he was like, "I no longer need human food." I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh God," he's
And
just
he was
like,
even mean to her too. She's like, "Oh my god, he's my favorite dog." He's like, "You barely knew him." I was like, "Dang, this guy's harsh." In
yes.
many ways, I could see probably Jennings was the jerk of the original Howard that we could have gotten if they didn't nicify Howard.
Oh, so you mean they swapped
Like that
some
humor
lines?
that he had
Yeah,
as the bad guy in parts,
yeah.
comic book wise, is probably more accurate to how Howard the Duck is.
Interesting, interesting.
So
Yeah.
a little
Uh,
bit of that joke was scary. Again, that's where I understand where Tim Robbins, as the comic fan, is like, they kind of miscast Howard. At this point, you're in for the ride, and it's funny.
oh,
This Howard.
it's crazy. So you think this is where you think okay, they're gonna leave the diner, and
Hmm.
they'll go back to the lab and fix things up. No, we at this diner, it gets crazy. There
It
we got
gets
some.
scary crazy.
It's like if everything wild and insane that you can imagine happening all at once. People out of nowhere just roll up on Howard and starts making fun of him, and then they're ready to kill him at some point. I mean, I was
Yeah,
like,
this
how
is
did
this
that
this is
happen?
this is probably his worst fear of being there, and it's happening because these people
Yeah.
are. I mean, here's the thing though. Out of this is kind of funny in the sense that this whole time, not a lot of humans went crazy on Howard until everyone was hangry. They're at a diner,
Oh, yes.
they're stalling the waitress. They're very hangry right now and messing up
Yeah.
their food. People are pissed, I guess. Maybe that's what tipped people over.
Well, it was all very hilarious in a cartoonish way, very,
Exactly.
very much over the top, insano. And this is all the while Jennings is, or the Dark Overlord is becoming even more insane. And Beverly is whispering to his ear, like, "Oh, I think they're laughing at you." And
And I
that
think they
was
got
it.
Mr. Code Key
Yeah.
because he needed the code key to get back in the lab.
Exactly, and to use that spectra
Mhm.
scope, and he goes berserk in there and just destroys the entire place. It's like, I mean, a hot mess in there. At first, you're like, okay, so he is on Howard and Beverly's side, but it takes a a, a scary turn because he's like no longer on their team. He's now playing for himself as the Dark Overlord, about to release his boys from across the universe, and Howard the Duck is enemy number one, and it stopped him
Mhm.
from getting this done. So
I think he always was because even when he destroyed the ketchup and mustard, I think he was just getting a feel for his new body and he just wanted to
yes.
destroy it. And then after he found that they have code keys, like, well, might as well see how much power I could do in this body and go crazy because he went to town. He was
Oh,
winding up, destroying that kitchen.
oh yeah, and you think that's it. He keeps going, I mean, at
Hmm.
different places, but he decides he's gonna take Beverly because he needs a body to put the demons inside of.
Put his
And I
homies in
don't know,
there.
like, and so he kidnaps her in the
Oh,
and
this one. Ah!
yes, okay, this is where like I'm getting hidden vibes
Yeah, this is,
from.
oh, it's so nasty.
It's so awful and scary. I was like, she's in some really big trouble. It was terrifying. And there she is, like in the corner, like, oh my God. But he's
Oh,
running
yeah.
out of power. And so he uses
Yeah.
the car battery to charge up in the lighter there. It's well animated. It's a
It
mixture
is.
of
It
of
is.
a prosthetic piece and also hand drawn animation. Really,
Mhm.
really great effect.
I'm surprised the
There's
car was still running. The truck.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, they're on a road trip a little bit, so
Mhm.
he stops in um, to a nuclear plant and sucks up all the power there.
Mhm.
Which I'm like, oh, I mean, again, Acme funny
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
jokes.
I love how he
Uh,
went up to the thing. Is like so many watts of power, and the guy's like, "Yes." I think it's time we all go take a break for coffee. like, oh, I loved all the jokes in the moments.
Yeah, so many jokes, and he comes back to the car. So there's traffic ahead, and so he's actually like pushing the cars with
Mm,
his truck, and so there all the police comes by,
who
and it's
is
like,
this guy?
yeah, what's going on here? He like disintegrates that dude. Like, oh my god, like that's
Now,
crazy.
with that, after watching this movie a bunch of times, I'm wondering if he zapped him in a state so another overlord can come and get his body, just leaving outside. Because he
That's
does that same zap
possible.
later on. I was wondering
Yeah.
about that.
That's totally possible. I mean, and if you notice the special effect, I love. That's a pretty dope special effect, and
Yeah,
even
that's
though it's like,
cool.
yeah, that's pretty. Like, give me more of that, please.
Yeah, you got
And
a lot of
then,
stuff going on. You got his color turning red, his lasers are like green, and something else is happening to this person. It's like so many effects going on.
yeah,
I don't know.
really
I thought
good.
that was great.
Yeah, that
Not
was
just like
amazing.
they didn't just stop at the hand laser or electricity like
Yeah,
that.
they really went for it, or like do that kind of vanishing effect where the
Mm,
character's there and then they disappear. They really went for like, oh, this guy is toast.
yeah.
And so he's like gearing up to move ahead, get rid of these cars, and he does. It's really like a display of his power. He can really do a lot of damage. All of the stuff goes up in flames, and meanwhile, meanwhile,
Filthy.
this is a long, long
Chase sequence?
montage. Yeah, chase sequence of events that lasts about 20 something minutes.
No
Uh,
way. What?
in and out, edited in
Yeah,
and
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah,
different
because
scenes.
they're getting to the lab during all this chase.
Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
bouncing back and forth, and so this is it's really funny because Howard is afraid of flying
And
because
he can't swim.
and he
2
can't
things
swim.
that
So
ducks are known for.
and they're basically testing these anti powers of his or his weaknesses. He's overcoming his
Mhm.
weaknesses in this
Oh, yeah,
particular
yeah.
thing, which I thought was really cool. If you were going to say any part of this movie could have been cut down a little bit, it might have been this part.
Mm.
But it was again full of giggles, laughs, dad jokes, hijinks, all that stuff. I mean, there's some duck hunters they pass by and he like
He gets
has
revenge because he
revenge
saw
on
it in
them.
the
Yes,
city
it's
about
just
duck
so
hunting and is traumatized.
yes, it's so great. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of fun in that, which I mean, I I I have to say this movie puts me in such a good mood every single time.
Mhm.
Every single time. They all caught up to each other. The Dark Overlord has Beverly strapped in place, ready to receive the demons from the other dimension, and he's
Yeah.
setting up the
Cool.
computer.
And look at those
And
teeth.
oh, it's
They even went there to
so
give him extra weird, crazy teeth.
oh they did a fantastic job of his like second. I would say this is his final form as a human before he
Mhm.
gets into the night. This is the final form. Very incredible look, very cartoon.
Mhm.
It has a very cartoon feel to it. Um, does and it also has like you've never seen this on a picture. The lighting and just the contrast of colors, very well presented, I believe, and I felt like this is something I've never seen before. It was one of those moments where I was stuck and glued to the screen, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? And yeah, eh, eh, he's incredible at this point, and uh, Howard is coming into the room with they found sorry, Howard is coming into the room with Phil. They have found a weapon that might be able to destroy.
That laser gun
Mhm.
prototype thing.
Yes, it is a neutron disintegrator,
Mhm.
and and so they come in. and it's not exactly as smooth, doesn't go as smoothly as they would like. Lots of like falling, and we're back on it again, and it's just like this again, it's just
It's over the top comedy. And sometimes I'm like, "Hey, I'm here! Oh no!" It's like,
we're losing
and
him.
then this guy's like, "Oh, whatever. I'm just gonna continue." Like
And
it's
so
such a mess.
my goodness. So there is a moment where the Dark Overlord shoots out a beam, and Phil gets in the way with a reflective kind of dish. So he
Mm-hmm.
proves himself as a loyal friend by risking his life to save
Because he
very
has no idea if that thing would have held. You know.
no, and it's the one, that moment when you're like, he's in it for the right reasons right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even with
Definitely.
them, like, them getting there, like, they didn't have to do any of that stuff, and he was right there from the very end to make sure to stick through this. So I felt like his friendship grew, in worth as the story went along. A
Mhm.
well-written character,
Yeah.
and of course, I just love the Dark Overlord. He's like, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like,
he
yeah,
got into it because
yeah,
we've seen Palpatine, Star
yes,
Wars. He would just get his
very,
hands out. This guy was all like, like
and
everything was like it really his performance sold
yes,
the crazy waves of the electric out of control. It wasn't in a straight line, a laser. As you
yeah,
can see, it's all wobbly and I would say
chaotic,
organic light. His
yeah,
body totally sold it.
oh yeah, and
And
his
I'm
stance,
wondering,
everything,
because I'm wondering if his performance enhanced what they were doing with the graphics. Because a
probably.
lot of VFX artists, like what is it, Andy Serkis?
And yeah,
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 yeah. So he's very expressive, and you could see in the makings of any of his works that actors who are so expressive
yeah,
really enhance what the visual effects artists get to do because they build off of that performance. I think we got to give a lot of credit to this actor's performance for making the
yes,
special effects more lifelike and have more of a personality and uniqueness, because you rarely see that because he's doing it very passionately and it's not pretty at times,
yes, yes,
but you believe it because he's so his conviction is all there for this
yes.
creature who just
Oh
wants to
gosh, it was
destroy.
so for me. I'm not sure how other people really perceived this moment, but and it does feel cartoony, a little bit over the top,
Oh
but
yeah.
that's part of the enjoyment of this that I'm
Hmm.
feeling, or getting from it. So, yes, he did a fantastic job, and I just absolutely loved, everything to do with the Dark Overlord, in
Hmm.
his final human form, before he changes into something else.
Yeah, he's like Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman before Sonic's Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik at this
Mm,
fame. That looks to me. So I
okay,
just like that.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know much
Yee!
about Sonic.
Oh, I love Sonic.
That's my
I got
next
you.
that's my probably one of my, next ventures. The monster leaves Dr.
His body,
Jennings,
right?
yeah, his body, and Dr. Jennings is now back to his normal self. After all of he's been through, he's been shot in the face, he's been he's been through a lot, and still he is alive. And so, this monster jumps out of Jennings and is now a physical and real presence in the laboratory, and it's scary.
This is such a well-designed creature. I loved it. So many things are moving. And it's like one of those claymation ones, but also I can't help think, I was like, man, is this George Lucas also making another version of the Rancor from Star Wars, only a lot more big and huge? Because if you remember the Rancor, the
Yeah,
big guy, uh the body shape, the looks very similar, except this guy looks way more centipede, or yeah, look at that thing. Oh,
yeah,
like how
yeah.
many teeth moving?
Gross.
It's like he's got predator beat in his mouth game.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
I mean,
so
there
many
was a
things.
lot of effort put into making him look super
So many
scary.
crazy long thumbs and fingers. The design of this creature, like a scorpion, I don't know what, all kinds of bugs like in one. This
Yeah,
is a fantastic design.
yeah.
And he's got all those same powers we saw.
Yes. So it's really interesting. And these are his buddies on their
Oh,
way.
oh, there are
So
three.
yeah,
One for
they're about to.
Beverly, one for Philzy, and one for the cop, I say.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they were gonna all get there, but if they were all gonna go into Beverly first and then leave or whatever, but
Ooh.
that was gross. Anyway, so yeah, Howard uses the disintegration weapon and he destroys the monster, and then he destroys the telescope. And they do take a beat just before then to say, Howard, you're not going to be able to go back home if you destroy this thing. And
Mhm.
he takes that moment and he's like, no, we gotta do what we gotta do. And it was a
Thought that
nice
was
little moment.
huge.
Yeah, just like a little moment. It's really hard to do to in the middle of an action scene, but
Mhm.
he made that choice, and so now he's stuck on planet Earth. But he saved it. He saved the planet at the same time.
Mhm.
And so we get this incredible like
Eee.
celebration in the last part where he's actually joining the girls on stage and in a performance that is not in a caged bar.
No, no. Where was this shot at? I said it early on because I really like this band and I wish they were real. Uh, because it looks like they knew their instruments. I said early on they were very green at it,
Yeah, they had
but
well they
they sold it
practiced a lot.
very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know they practiced throughout the whole thing until I started researching this thing. But let's see. Yeah, Cherry Bomb performs the film's title song. Was shot in front of a live audience at the Warfield in San Francisco. So it's
Oh,
the
cool.
Warfield Theater in San Francisco that they shot this scene. So they actually had a
Sweet.
full little mini theater concert event.
That is nice, and it looks great. It looks
Yeah.
really, really great, and Howard's doing all sorts of stuff.
Look at all those fans like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god! And I think they must have put some extra people in the back. But yeah, that was so cute and a nice way to end the movie. And
Hey.
there were so many people involved in being playing
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had Ed Gale doing the physical performance for the main physical performance, but then we also had Chip Zien doing the voice of Howard the Duck.
He was a Broadway actor.
He's a Broadway actor. We also had some voice acting from Tim Rose, who of course played our Admiral Akbar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
Admiral
truck.
Akbar. It's a trap.
Famous line.
And so we also had Steve Sleep. We had Peter Baird, Lisa Stirs, and Jordan Prentice doing the physical acting for Howard the Duck. So a lot of people came together to make Howard the Duck real.
Mhm.
And so we also have, as you were talking about, the animatronics going on for the head there. And so, did you want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah, yeah. This part was taxing because they say you have four people operating it. The beak, the expressions might have been by two people, and then the eyes were another person. So back then, it's kind of like working on an RC car, and you're looking at the screen on the monitor, which probably has like a second delay, and then you're trying to see it, or you're looking at the actual thing, whichever way works for them on production. So we can make expressions on our own, but four people making expressions are supposed to be happening at the same time.
Yes,
That's a lot of timing. Like Jim
right.
Henson is really good at it,
Mhm.
and because that's a
It's
specialty.
fantastic.
And he has like you look at how they did the Dark Crystal, they know how to do what they did from the Muppets, and then they just have a whole bunch of team working on stuff. So um, doing that for one character, having the expressions, because this is expression heavy.
Yes,
Because a lot of close-ups on Howard, and he's very expressive as a character, so that takes a lot of time. You could have him like talk, and then the eyes don't react at the same time, it'll totally break the
You
move.
have to rehearse everything and make sure everybody's coordinated
And not just
and know
that,
their
but this
beat.
is a film that's Dark Crystal is very dramatic, but this one is very comedic.
Yes,
Comedic timing is to the T. You have to get that on the nose, and
yes,
expressions is everything. So the difficulty factor for Howard the Duck, with how they did it, I have to say hats off. They did a really
yeah,
good job, and then I could see why production went longer or it wasn't easier.
yeah.
And wow,
Very, very
it's a
nice.
lot.
And so we have
Ooh,
Phil Tippin doing the stop motion animation for the Dark Lord small model here that is just like so impressive on screen. As you could see all the moving parts there. It is a very taxing job to do stop
stop.
motion, and
Yeah.
Phil in particular is just like one of the heroes that they kind of continued on after Harryhausen, to continue the legacy of it. Yeah, definitely wanted to say that. And this is all again ILM working on the special effects for this.
If we're going back to the voice of Howard, because you got Chip Zhang, but they had Martin Short audition for it, John Cusack auditioned to be the voice of Howard, and Robin Williams got it. And apparently, after a week, he couldn't do it
Yes,
because he had the timing of doing his voice to the duck or the duck beat. It wasn't working, and he left. Then they got Chip Zine. So
yeah,
I was always thinking, like, man, what if we did get Robin Williams?
that would be
Because when he
crazy.
did the genie in Aladdin, that's different. Because Disney, when they draw based off of the character's expressions. Because I
Right,
remember the making of Little Mermaid, the guy who did Scuttle, they based everything off of what he did. So they do a recording and then they
and
do the
then
animation
yeah,
on top of it. But this is reverse.
yes,
So Robin Williams had to do his acting on the voice of a beak, and if he doesn't understand it, I can see why that's not
yes.
everyone's cup of tea. So Chip
It's
Zine
totally yeah, it's
was
totally
good.
reverse engineered
Yeah, but
from
imagine if
him.
we did get Robin
Oh,
Williams
I
as
would have been
Howard the
sick.
Duck.
I would have been sick. I would have been sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
all that nanu nanu. Sorry, I just totally forgot about that before we go on.
Yes, that would have been fantastic.
Oh, I love all
Uh,
that.
this
Whoa,
is a
what a
promotion.
picture!
Yeah, this is a promotional picture of Howard. And I was like, can we get that movie?
That is good. That's like the cover for his album or whatever. That's great.
Yeah, solo album, Howard the Duck album.
Mm,
Let's talk about the reaction to this movie. Um,
mm.
it didn't quite. Um, it wasn't the worst flop ever, but it didn't really make back the kind of money that was spent on it. So
Yeah, they want to make a certain percentage of what they spent into the movie because I think they made back the amount that they invested into the movie, and that's considered a flop.
yes, and that was pretty sad because I enjoyed it so much. But of
I did
course, there
too.
was a lot of people with critical opinions about this movie. That they did not like it, or they felt it was different from the source material, and others just didn't enjoy the mixture of genres of that it was had so many different elements in it. Being sort of a romance comedy, but maybe for kids. No, 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 it's not for kids. So it was like jumping around to
Hmm.
so many different genres, and then it became like a sci-fi thing at the end. So people were confused, and they didn't know, like, what did we just watch? This is really crazy. It was totally up my alley. It's up KOJ's alley, but for a lot of people, it just didn't work for them.
Hiring what George Lucas did for Lucasfilm, he was like president of it,
Mhm.
and then he stepped down to focus more on making films, and this was one of them. That, of course, the success didn't pan out for George, so he ended up selling parts of his animation department for Lucasfilm. That was sold off to Steve Jobs, I believe, where
Yes.
that technology and that group, that little studio or production group, would later turn into Pixar.
Mhm.
So again, we're both complimenting the hard work that we see and admire and appreciate that they put in because they did put a lot of
A
creative work
lot.
here and
Yes.
to even like the designer of the creature, Phil Tippett, making the Dark Overlord. He's the one who went on to provide stop motion and animatronics for RoboCop, Return of the Jedi, but also he turned into later down the road the dinosaur supervisor for Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
So a lot of tools and innovative things they're doing in Howard the Duck, like even getting rid of wires in the screens that they use for Matrix and stuff. All the stuff that they invested in doing for Howard the Duck helped films further on or grow
Yes.
into like it wasn't in vain. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yes,
at
it
least
was
Howard the Duck.
culturally
Mhm.
insignificant, and so
Yeah. They planted seeds and grew like wonderful creative ways to tell stories in other departments that we enjoy to this day because of it.
yeah.
I think that's the cool thing about Howard Duck, doing all the multiple layer of creativity, from creating a world, creature design, animatronics effects and all that. So um definitely it was worthwhile because if you don't like it or you do, it still paid its dues to push film further, even though the
Well said.
success wasn't there. um the love and enjoyment, I think is passing the test of time, you
Mm,
know
mm.
just slowly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just Pixar alone. Imagine not having Pixar movies
Right,
because this movie
like if
didn't exist,
yeah,
right?
because
If this
if this
movie
movie
didn't
did
exist,
well, we wouldn't have Pixar.
yeah, yeah. So it's really wild, really wild.
Right.
And I think um, going forward, we did see Howard the Duck again in the later iterations of movies in the MCU. A lot
Mm.
of people, when they saw Howard the Duck, they were really thrilled, and I was trying to figure it out. I was like, "What's
Oh, really?
what's the big deal?" He doesn't. I didn't even recognize him, but
He
for a
looks
lot of
like
people,
something else entirely.
yes, he does not
Like,
look like a duck.
it doesn't look like the comics, doesn't look like our movie. It's like,
Yeah, I
what are those
definitely
nostrils?
I don't know. And so I was very taken aback by the physical, but the people who saw him, they were like, "Oh, what does that mean? Are we gonna get Howard the Duck the movie? Are we gonna?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." My interests were piqued, but we did not get that. But he did make some appearances in MCU movies,
In
and then
animated shorts?
as I was talking about before, the reason why I think he would really be really great today, if he
Mhm.
did get a movie, so let's say, and I'm not necessarily live action, but something, if it was animated, even better. But this is the world he comes from. Where
Mhm.
There's a Spider Man, there's an Incredible Hulk,
And
there's
there's that
all of
Indiana
this.
Jones up in the top corner.
Yeah, there's so much interesting things that are going on in his universe that we didn't get to see even in the movie.
And you
And it
see
was
that bottom
wonderful.
panel there too? The little drawing with him on the guitar? That's from the movie.
Yes. Yeah, so cute. And yeah, it's really great.
Mhm.
This is the world that he comes from, all this. They used him in the What If series on Disney Plus,
Yes.
and there is definitely a relationship between himself and Beverly. And they redesigned Beverly and everything, and it looks more in tune with itself in this form.
Mhm.
And I think the reason is because we are very well aware of all the magic and all of the weird creatures and the power set of all of these fascinating people in the MCU, that it works in this context. So I think now we finally come to a part in society where we've caught up to Howard the Duck, you know?
Mhm.
He
Yes.
he's unfortunately, I said before that he was out of time in 1986.
Yeah.
And I think now, yeah, we can get down with this strange idea, and even the interspecies love thing, because it makes sense in this strange storyline, and they even have a baby. with that?
Yeah, I think in this like humanoid like sentient type of animal creatures I've seen last 2 or 3 iterations of Ninja Turtles. There's a love interest between April Neil and one of the turtles. Like
Really?
yeah,
She's like their mom. You can't do that.
I know. I agree. I'm with you. The most recent one, the Mutant Mayhem or whatever.
Oh
The thing
boy.
is, Leonardo has a thing with April. And then one of the series, second last series of Nickelodeon, it was Donatello with April. Michelangelo was always flirting with her on and off, but that never went to anywhere. That was just for fun. So I'm like, wow, Donatello's next in the next one. What's going on? So
And
I just
wow,
see that
just
as
ate
more of
all of them.
eventually. I was like, whoa, have you seen what turtles really have? I don't know. You want that. But I'll leave that to anyone who's curious on YouTube. But
that that is why this show in particular was
I have
more,
limits, the bestiality thing. But when they do the cross alien thing, some people might argue like, well, Superman is alien and Lois is human. It's like the same kind of deal.
yeah.
If they're like humanoid, I guess okay. But I'm like not into the bestiality stuff. But for the fiction of the cartoony world, this is, it's
Yes.
like a humanoid duck and a humanoid human. I guess a rocket. Okay, I was just like, how'd she make the egg? I don't know. I got some questions. Like, are you
Yeah, yeah.
pregnant first and then the egg
There
comes
are
out?
a
Then you
lot of
still gotta
questions.
wait, or what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a lot of questions, but I also think like in in this iteration, we've seen a lot from superhero movies from the MCU. It's not so far fetched as
Mm,
we're we're involving all these. I mean, because look, if Howard the Duck in 1986 had, like, like we were saying, Spider-Man is saving
mhm.
the world. The Hulk is doing something over here. Iron Man just did propose some new thing with the president, and so we're like, oh, so this is fully a world in which wild things happen anyway. The public knows about these weird occurrences. And so, how is the duck not going to be so weird to see a duck man walking down the street
Mhm.
or a lady kissing a duck is not going to be so strange? It's the world that's built in this thing. Whereas, like, if you're talking about a human world in which we live, where it really is like, magic is sort of an idea. We don't necessarily see sparkles coming out of people's hands and
Yeah,
superpower
yeah, yeah.
laser beams coming from people's hands or eyeballs. This is all like super weird. Like
Yeah.
you've crossed the line somehow.
Yeah, like, if they established that, maybe the audience would have been more ready for it. Because
I
I
think
don't think it's
so.
bad. I just think it was ahead of its time and out of its time.
Hmm.
Because now that I'm thinking about uh the non-success, there was a shakeup at Universal where was it Frank Price? He was a chairman of the motion picture group of
Mm.
Universal. He
Yes.
resigned,
Yes, yes.
but he resigned because it got like Siskel and Ebert's worst movies of 1986.
Oh my
But then
god.
if they had all this lore more like presented to the people, because I think because the 80s they had to take time with introducing you to what they were doing. Like He-Man, we were not even Eternia. He got teleported to Earth. That's how they could get by with that story. Tron, we spent a lot of
Yeah.
time in our world and then slowly got into the grid. Then when we got in the grid, we were there, but it took time to build up. Howard the
Yes.
Duck, you were there and just bam,
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone was that was really bold and ahead of its time. And unfortunately, it was like swinging for the fences, but you got struck out. But
Yeah.
passion was there, I say.
I got it. I think,
I
and
did
there's a
too.
couple of
My golly
people.
gee willikers, Duck World.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cute. And once again, I would say this is a movie that is really going to be about relaxing and having fun with it,
Mm,
enjoying the funny voices, enjoying the silliness of it. and not really saying, okay, this is a movie about lore and lore building, and we're in for like 5 seasons or five movie sequels. This is not something to retain for very long as lore. It's just to enjoy. And
Yeah.
like it's like almost like bubblegum, uh movie bubblegum. uh if you will. But it's good stuff.
I
It's
like.
tasty and fun.
Mhm.
um and yeah, I think that's all I would say about it. Any last words that you might want to say about,
Um,
because you've said a lot already. That's just
I did.
amazing. So yeah, definitely the cultural significance that you mentioned is just
Mhm.
some priceless information for people to have.
Oh, thank you. I was just trying to do my homework too, but it's great because I love revisiting these films, and sometimes I don't get a lot of time to revisit all the ones I like. I wish it was more successful, but like we said, it wasn't in vain. It got Pixar. The superhero tale, emotionally, I want to say, is there because I personally, story wise, I got a lot of enjoyment out of this as I did with like Man of Steel. Both
Mm,
stories you saw introduced in their homeworld, and both stories had a journey of coming here, and both stories had that segment where they're finding themselves. Man of Steel, of course, Superman a little bit more dramatic and real world drama, and more realistic, of course. And this one is more commercial, cartoony, over the top. But then they both had that segment where they saw something on the screen where,
mm,
oh, the real plot is happening. Here was like what happened to bring him there. Superman's was seen on the screen, Zod's message. And then you get the bad guy arc story, and both characters had a moment where they're like, oh, shoot, Krypton had its chance. Boom. Goodbye, Duck World. Boom. And then, they saved the world. So
yeah.
I don't know. Kind of like, I like this arc of hero. It's kind of like going out into the real world. All right. When you're trying to find your dreams and find out who you are really alone. The world around you doesn't make sense. Then when you find your place in the world, or you try and do some good or follow your dreams, I guess that's the most personal, heroic thing we could do. Um, uh, the rest of the story continues on. You have that adventure. So I like that this movie, when we got Jennings possessed, we got after we got the origin of Howard the Duck, him finding his place and whatever, and his is more comical than Superman's. Then that one part where the enemy shows up, we got a taste of Howard the Duck as a hero doing the thing.
Yes.
Just like in Man of Steel, we got Superman, or any other time when the superhero is like, all right, I am Spider-Man or I am Superman. There's that bonus part where there's like 40 minutes of like an adventure of being the hero, and this is the third part of the story where you said there are like 5 movies going on in this, and I totally agree. It's like the last part of the heroic part is a good payoff after the first part is always like meaningful or enjoyable. So yeah, I just think this movie was just ahead of its time and
Yes,
misunderstood, but
I
I
think so
appreciate
too.
all the heart and passion put into it, and I think more people will over time.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I have very much the same sentiments. Well, where can people find you on the internet? They can find you here on YouTube, right?
Yes, YouTube is my main hub where I try and do my best to share with you with everything I do with watch parties, my opinions on my podcast, the art drawings I'm doing every now and then. You can watch me draw that, and all my video game gameplays and opinions, and definitely watch all the episodes of Watch Parties with Retro Nerd Girl. Those are so
Yay.
much fun. Twitter, I'm very opinionated, so if you don't like my opinions, be
Mhm.
careful. Instagram, I share a lot of my humanitarian activist work there and opinions.
Mm.
So definitely check me out on anywhere you want if any of those fits your fancy, but definitely YouTube is my jam. And I'm happy to
Oh,
be here. Thank you for having me. I love your show. This is such an honor and a good time.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I love the opportunity to be able to like share these talks with, people who share the same love for these movies, and of course, I enjoy doing the reviews too, where I just go off on tangents. But I love hearing
Well, I do.
other people's point of view, and interacting. That interaction is still very important. And yeah, I think that is going to do it for us, everybody. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and there will be a video suggested to you by YouTube. So do click on it if you are interested in seeing more. Please give us a like and take care of yourselves.